Hello and welcome back to Chewing the Fat in 2021. This year we plan to be a part of your lives for the better, I promise. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and a very happy new year, regardless of the circumstances, I guess. But if you're planning your New Year's resolutions right now, I say stop. Now I do say this out of kindness, honestly, but starting a New Year's resolution gives you a certain end goal and can make it a little bit easier to give up on that goal a lot sooner, because it's usually between the beginning and the first few months of that year. And usually if you give up your resolution, you're more likely to start again in the next year, and nobody wants that. If everybody wants changes for the better, then it's a year-round thing. And this actually applies in more things than just fitness and losing weight and health. It can apply to anything. So I'd honestly say try not to make it a New Year's resolution, but actually look at it as a way to develop healthy habits that you can start this year but continue throughout the rest of your life. Now this can also go hand in hand with motivation. Motivation is a surefire way to achieve maybe a short-term goal or something very briefly, but it's not something that you can continue throughout a journey, for example. So the biggest example I like to be able to give is the Rocky montage, and I think a lot of people in health and fitness and even just throughout mental health, motivation, things like that, often talk about the Rocky montage, which is basically or essentially that big scene where you see Sylvester Stallone kind of hyping himself up ready for the match. And it's usually the feeling that we all tend to get when we start something brand new. I know I got it quite a lot of times when I was starting in the gym the last few times before I'd quit, where I would really sort of hype myself up and get really psyched and excited, ready for jumping into the gym or starting a fitness routine. The problem is though, is that motivation is usually very brief and very temporary. And usually throughout that as well, a lot of people, including myself, and it happened a lot, was, you push yourselves too hard, too fast, and cause yourself a lot of fatigue and a lot of injury. And it really puts a lot of people off, because it makes you think, oh, well, I've hyped myself up and it took me a long time to get to this point, to get excited to do something. And I did it, and now I hurt a lot and I don't really want to go back and do it again. So it's usually something that tends to put people off, and it's kind of like its own circle, so to speak. It makes people kind of go back round in that same circle where they're starting, pushing themselves too hard, and then finding themselves back at the beginning again once they've recovered. And it's definitely not a healthy way to do things. So I'd say, honestly, motivation actually isn't key to achieving a fitness goal or a health goal. Usually this process also means that people actually fall off the bandwagon completely, because say they've tried dipping their toe into fitness and come out of it thinking that is the everyday feeling that people that are involved in fitness actually have, when it's not. It's actually not. And so people get a twisted viewpoint, I guess, on how to stay fit or to lose weight, because they've pushed themselves way too hard without enough reading into things and developing a healthy habit, rather than just jumping in from a sedentary lifestyle. I have mentioned routines in a previous video, and I wholly stand by that. Developing a routine is integral to developing healthy habits as well with your life. And even though it's quite difficult to start off with, to start a new routine or even a new habit, once you actually find yourself in that flow, then it becomes incredibly easy and just a part of your daily life. Developing a set of healthy habits just sets you up for constant little achievements across the board throughout your routine. So once it's actually embedded into your life, then you actually start to see lots of little wins across the board, because all you're doing is one-upping yourself, nobody else, and you're not starting too heavy or going too fast and hurting yourself in the process. So all it is just a constant stream of little wins that make you feel that little bit better. And doing things this way means that working out becomes a natural, ordinary part of your schedule, something eventually you won't even think twice about, which is great.
Vindication!
So this year, basically what I'm proposing is, instead of motivating yourself with a New Year's resolution, you start a routine with healthy habits. And it might just seem like a vast change of words and that's all it is. It's really, really not. When you hold yourself up to a standard of a resolution, it's very short-lived, but when you want to create a healthy habit, it basically is something that can set you up for the rest of your life that you can continue to do over and over again. You basically want to develop that feeling of consistency without feeling drained or burnt out, so that in the end you have that feeling that you can do this over and over again, maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week, as opposed to overhyping yourself, being over motivated and feeling like you can do it maybe once a week and you never want to return to the gym again. In terms of fitness and health, you should never push yourself too hard, too fast. Our bodies are incredibly clever and will adapt to us over a slow period of time. So if you are a sedentary person or somebody that hasn't really moved around much, or maybe the last time you did, say, half an hour to an hour's worth of constant exercise might have been maybe back in school or when you did a team sport, but you got busy with work and then, or you had kids, or anything could, come up that stops you from being as physically functional as you might have been before. So always remember that when you are a more sedentary person, your chances of injury are a lot higher because your muscles are not used to moving in a particular way or not being used to even being stretched. So it might be more used to you laying down, getting up, sitting down at a desk, maybe doing a little bit of walking, but that constant movement in different muscles are from the muscles that you use every single day. And when you start, say, running or going to the gym or lifting weights, you're using a completely new set of muscles, and throwing them into the deep end too early will absolutely always cause some form of discomfort or injury.
No.
So it does mean you have to be a little bit more patient than you might think, but it does also mean that when you start off a new routine in terms of fitness, you don't have to throw yourself into that deep end too early, and you get to ease yourself into it a little bit more instead. So please keep in mind that the best thing that you should do in 2021 is discipline yourself into creating a routine and having these new healthy habits integrated into your life, and try to keep yourself on track so that eventually they feel very, very natural to you. And what you're doing in the process as well is you're helping your body, who's supported you all this time, to learn these new skills, to learn these new habits, and to be able to adapt to this new schedule that you've set up.
Okay, everybody, are you ready? Bam! All right, what's up?
What's going on?
Oh, well, I got into really good shape. Am I hitting the light right?
And honestly, in a few months, you'll find yourself feeling like a completely different person, especially like myself, if you came from a completely stationary lifestyle. And you'll start to realize that you can definitely do a lot more, and then that's the time that you can start pushing yourself that little bit harder. So it's not going to be much help if I just tell you to do this and then not give you any examples that might be a really good way to make your start in 2021. So first of all, for fat loss, if you are looking to lose some weight maybe this year, cardio, as everybody knows, is the best way to do that because you burn the most calories. And a great form of cardio, albeit it is a little bit more than low impact, is running or jogging. And a really, really good example of this is Couch to 5K. You've probably maybe heard about this before. The NHS are massively supportive of Couch to 5K, and I know a few friends that have done it themselves. I did something very similar and managed to get from not running at all to running a 5K, and then actually getting to a point that I was running 10k distances. But if that is something that you end up enjoying and you end up enjoying the Couch to 5k journey, you might end up finding yourself moving on to half marathons and maybe even marathons. It has been done, and there's lots of videos all over YouTube of people that have managed to achieve this and have made it part of their regular hobby, which is awesome. Usually Couch to 5K starts off at a very steady pace and tends to last roughly about 9 weeks with about 3 running sessions per week. So it's actually not a long space of time really, and it's usually a time frame that people absolutely smash out of the park and tend to even hit 5K before then. So it's definitely something that has been done and has been proven time and time again, and really gets people into the mood of fitness, and also helps them along the way with their fat loss journey. Another form of exercise that is really good for fat loss or weight loss is HIIT. So that's high intensity interval training. Also something that I did quite regularly when I started trying to lose weight, and it was something that I did quite enjoy once I got into it. I'm not gonna lie, the first few weeks are slightly brutal, but once you start to realize the development that you can actually keep up with some people that are teaching you how to do these things, and also beating your own personal bests, is actually a really good way to make yourself feel great. And also it gets the endorphins pumping massively, and you end up feeling great for the rest of the day. Sometimes HIIT can be called high intensity intermittent exercise or sprint interval training, depending on certain workouts that they have involved in that. But it's usually the same kind of process where, especially during lockdown and during the pandemic, a lot of people have been tuning into web chats or watching pre-recorded videos of trainers doing this full workout to the camera, and people at home following along with what they do. It's a really great way to get involved and feel like you're not doing a workout alone. So if you are somebody that maybe is stuck in, or you're not getting much chance to see many people, especially during this lockdown period, ultimately in Britain, then this might be a really good one for you, because some of these are also live, so you actually get to experience that workout as it's happening while everybody else is doing it as well. Once again though, you don't have to jump in the deep end and find the most painful session that you can find because you're really determined to lose that weight. The best bet is to find more low impact sessions or beginner sessions and start off from there, and get used to putting the time aside, say even if it's half an hour, to try and do this workout, and also give your body that chance to feel like it's doing a few more movements that maybe it's not used to. And you can then move yourself up to the next HIIT workouts, say for example intermediate or advanced workouts, once you've got the hang of that, and once you know how to do the form of each particular exercise as well, because doing the form wrong can cause a lot of injury, and you definitely don't want that when you're starting out your fitness journey. Always remember though, there's no rush. There is no rush. You might be wanting to go for that summer bod, for example, especially if, hopefully, fingers crossed, the pandemic is behind us by the summertime. I am a little bit skeptical of that, but if it is, then everybody's going to want to be out in the sun with their tops off or by the pool, and we all want to be looking great. Maybe you might hit that goal by summer, for example, but the best bet for you right now would be to take it slow, understand the process, and enjoy your time doing it. And the best way to do that is by just taking small steps rather than jumping right in. So I've actually collated a bit of a list that might help you if you're still scratching your head and you're not sure where to look if you want to do these HIIT sessions, for example. So the first one is obviously Joe Wicks, who is the body coach. He does online YouTube videos. Somebody I've been following is ObesetoBeast, who lost a hell of a lot of weight over the course of a few years, and now he actually uses his Instagram not just to tell his story and update people on fitness advice and health advice, but he also posts some of his routines. They are a little bit more brutal, I won't lie, so if you're a little bit more used to your workouts, then maybe he might be a good one to go to. I've got a list down here because I've also collated some from a few of my friends on my Instagram and on the Chewing the Fat Instagram. Very kindly posted some examples that they use. So there is Muscle Monsters, trained by Toppin, Courtney Black, PopSugar, Les Mills, Natacha Oceane, BXR, OrangeTheory, F45, Fly London, Cirq, Barrysuk, digmefitness, and Centrfit. And I will put all of their links in the bio below, so all you have to do is just click on them and have a look at what they're getting up to. But they are all a-okay in terms of chewing the fat suggestions, and all of them do great things and have helped lots and lots of people on their fat loss and fitness journeys, and some of them are also really great along a mental health journey too, so it's hugely inclusive. Always make sure, in terms of online workout classes and HIIT classes, you find somebody that you want to listen to and somebody that maybe inspires you or that you just like. Very similar to a driving instructor, for example. If you don't quite feel like there's a connection there, then you're probably not going to listen to them as much, and you're probably not going to follow them, and you're more than likely just going to want to fall off the bandwagon or, you know, move away and do something else. So it's really important to make sure you find somebody that you actually want to listen to and that you think you can also take a lot of advice from. But what if you're thinking you don't want to lose any weight? Maybe you want to build muscle, or maybe you want to tone. Well, don't worry, I've catered for you guys too. First of all though, a lot of people that can find themselves in the gym, especially weightlifting or obviously doing workouts from home with brand new weights, often tend to try to ego lift a little bit too soon, and that usually involves lifting weight that is quite heavy and tends to cause a lot of injury. And it's usually best when you start off weight training or even body weight training, getting used to the form first and knowing how your body reacts to the form and getting your muscles used to that movement before you start lifting anything too heavy too soon, because that also causes injury, and usually injuries that involve weights tend to be a lot more severe. So you have to make sure that you are very careful when you start working out with weights or even with body training. So if you are a beginner and you're wanting to start lifting weights, or you're wanting to start to build your muscle maybe, I'd highly recommend mastering, first of all, obviously your form, but also being able to lift your body weight in certain exercises. So one great routine, and I've got it noted down here, so that's why I'm looking down here, is to do 20 bodyweight squats, 10 push-ups, 20 walking lunges, 10 dumbbell rows. You could maybe use a big bottle of water, or you could fill a bucket up, or you could use milk, or you could use something maybe slightly heavy with a little bit of weight. You can find all sorts of stuff in your house, especially during this lockdown period. Something maybe even a child, maybe, that is a little bit heavier that you could use. 15-second plank, 30-second jumping jacks, and then repeating that for 3 rounds. So doing it 3 times over. And you can give yourself a break, obviously, in between those rounds. What I'd recommend after that would maybe try to do 4 rounds the week after, if you feel like you can, or trying to up how many reps you have in these particular exercises. So if you did 20 bodyweight squats quite easily, try and push that up to 30, and then 40 the week after that, or maybe a few weeks up. You know, sometimes the progression isn't super quick, especially if you're new to it. So don't worry if you're not managing to hit those numbers. Just worry about trying to be maybe just 1 rep better than the previous week. That's all that matters, is just trying to beat yourself. And even if you can't hit 20 bodyweight squats, that's perfectly fine. Do 10 and then try and do 11 the week after, or 12, and then try and progress from there. Now this is just a beginner routine, and they can get more complex, or you can find other routines online that are also just as useful when you're starting out. But this is one that I thought would be quite helpful, especially if you are very new to this, and it's very similar to some of the things that I started doing. So I'd highly recommend this one to start out with, and then start looking into other routines once you've got the hang of being able to work out and finding your form with some of these movements. If maybe you are beyond doing bodyweight workouts, or you don't want to do them and you just want to jump straight into equipment, or you already have equipment and you want to use it, then I'm not your mum. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. And I also have some examples of a beginner workout with equipment. What I'd recommend if you're wanting to start out with some equipment that you have from home is throughout the week doing 3 different exercises in that week, obviously broken up with rest days, because rest days are incredibly important. Day 1 being chest, back, shoulders, legs, biceps and triceps. Day 2 being legs, triceps, biceps, chest, back and shoulders. And then day 3, shoulders, back, chest, legs, triceps and biceps. And the full in-depth routines I will post in the bio below that you can follow and take away with you if that's something that you want to start trying to do from home. And that's that for this video. It's really great to be back. I know that I'm still very, very early into the video YouTuber kind of game, but I was very, very excited to get back, and I'm glad to start being in my routine again and feeling like this is what I want to do. And if you have watched this video, I really, really appreciate it. This is something we want to do to try and help people like yourself to improve even just a little bit. And 2021, I feel, is a year that all of us want to push ourselves to better ourselves, because 2020 was such an awful year. And if you are anything like me, you'll be pushing as hard as you can to make sure that 2021 doesn't go down that same hole. And always remember that you can make tiny changes in your life that will eventually become a huge positive. And all it takes is those tiny changes. And even though there are things out there in this world that we can't control, and we've been reminded of it on the regular at the moment, there are things that you can control. And starting these tiny habits and creating a routine is something that you can control, and you'll feel great for it once you've managed to master that and get that in your routine on the regular. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your aunt, tell your dad, tell your granddad, tell your dog, tell the shopkeeper, the essential shopkeeper. Any love that we get is hugely, hugely appreciated, as we are a brand new channel, so it's very, very hard to find brand new people that want to see something like this. And if you think there is somebody that might benefit from the videos that we're putting out, letting them know would be a huge deal for us. But until then, we'll see you and anybody else you want to bring along in the next video. So we'll see you then. Cheers.